Okay, today we are working on the full Persian, also called full Persian 6-in-1. I've got a couple of examples here, a choker in sterling silver and a bracelet in copper. It works up beautifully in either one, and with the current rage in mixed metals, it would actually work up beautifully as a mixed piece with both copper and sterling. So this is the project we're working on today, and we will get going. I will actually build it first in some large rings so that you can see what the steps are, and then we'll move to the smaller rings and work from there. Before we get to those, though, I want to show you some examples in addition and tell you what rings we're using. So this piece is made out of sterling silver, 18 gauge, 8mm internal diameter rings. And if you are familiar with or remember the ring information from the Introduction to Chainmaille video, the basics, aspect ratio is important for some weaves, not very important for other weaves. The aspect ratio of these is an aspect ratio of 8. That means that the internal diameter of the ring divided by the width of the wire is equal to 8. This is 18 gauge wire, which is a convenient wire because the wire size is 1mm. It's 1mm thick. So it makes the math very easy for me. With an 8mm internal diameter, that gives me an aspect ratio of 8. And just so you can see how this particular weave looks in different aspect ratios, this again is an 8. And actually I'm going to open this up so I can just lay the other options right next to it. So this is an 8mm, and it will tend to flop down and look sort of flat on its own or as it lays there. I've got a sample here that I made up in 7mm. Again, it is, I'm going to stretch it out so you can see what the size looks like a little bit better, or what the shape looks like a little better. Because again, this is a fairly large ring. It's an aspect ratio of 7, if it's 7mm rings in 18 gauge. So it doesn't hold its shape real well when it lies down. As it's carrying weight on your waist, on your bracelet, or as a bracelet on your wrist or on your neck, it will hold its shape very nicely, but it just doesn't. Gravity takes over when you lay it down. So there is what a 7mm ring looks like, an aspect ratio of 7. It's just a little tighter than the 8. Give that a little tug so you can see that one. Now, as we get down to even smaller aspect ratios, so an aspect ratio of 6, this one holds its shape pretty well all on its own. So that's a 6mm internal diameter ring, again 18 gauge wire. And this is about as small an aspect ratio, or as low an aspect ratio as you can use. So that we can see this all close together here, I will just move them over a little bit. And there we go. That is 5mm internal diameter rings, again 18 gauge wire. So this is an aspect ratio of 5. This is as small as you can do it. An aspect ratio smaller than 5, and you will not be able to actually make the full Persian weave. It gets very, very tight. And it's actually beyond this length. It gets very difficult to do, and it's not flexible. It won't bend. But this size makes a really nice little earring. It's not too heavy. It's not too bulky and big. And if you dangle a Swarovski crystal or something off of the end, they look great. So you can make them down to an aspect ratio of 5. But more typically, they are made with a larger aspect ratio, 7, 8, or so. And this weave is also called the foxtail. If you look for it other places, it's often referred to as the foxtail as well. Okay, now we'll get into learning the weave. A good thing to have around to do this is a paper clip. A paper clip will allow you to add your rings on and give you something to hold on to as we're working those first few rings into the weave. it gives you a base to work off of and something to hold on to. Okay, we're working again in 8 millimeters, so it's going to be like this largest demonstration piece here. We'll get these all out of the way. So we'll be working in that size for the piece that we're building in the end, but I will demonstrate this with some large rings that I've made out of electrical wire. I find these work really well for teaching when I'm in a bead store teaching a class. Everybody can feel it, everybody can see it, and it makes it a little easier to see the weave that we're working on. I'm actually going to start with a couple of sets of red ones because they show up on the background a little bit better for what we're doing today. And I'm going to close 2 sets of red rings, or 2 red rings and 2 white. No, I'm going to close all the red rings. That's the best way to do this one. So I'm going to close all these red rings. And these rings are fairly large. They're a little wonky because they've been used so many times, but they definitely demonstrate well what we're going to do.